Beck, welcome to Awaken Within.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And how are you checking in today? How are you feeling?
I'm feeling really good actually. I've had a great start to my morning. So yeah, I'm feeling really good.
Well, that's a good little segue into my first question because I was going to ask you what you did this morning to start your day off the right way for
I
you.
Yes, okay. So my morning started at about 5:30. So I got up and my first priority is always the dog. So it's getting him sorted, and then I make myself a coffee, and then I'm out the door. So I drive down to Airlie Beach, and I just love walking along the foreshore before I have to be home again to get the kids ready for school. So yeah, that's how my morning started, is just connecting with where I'm living and the elements, and just how I'm feeling, and doing some body movement. And yeah, that's how my morning started. And then it was busy when I got home with kids, lunch boxes, breakfasts, driving to school, and then, yeah, getting myself set up for today.
Beautiful. And I love it that you intentionally take this time for yourself first thing in the morning before you
Yeah.
step into the fullness of the day. I think that's so important and such a good example to set for your children as well. So that
Yeah.
sounds like a perfect morning.
Yeah. It's really, it's not something that comes naturally to me. It's something I have to be mindful of, because I could easily just sleep into the last minute and then get up with the kids. So I've really set that clear intention of going, I never, ever, ever regret moving my body. So I just have to keep that in my mind. I'll regret not doing it, but I never regret actually going for that walk ever.
Yeah,
Mm,
I hear you.
mm.
All right, so let's get into it, Beck. So you are
Mhm.
an amazing kinesiologist. You are my personal kinesiologist, and I have, yeah, personally had so many transformations already in such a kind of short space of time. So this is mostly what I want to dive into with you today,
Mhm.
is
Mhm.
your personal and professional experience of kinesiology. So even though I know parts of your story, I would love for you to share with us how you first
Mm.
discovered kinesiology and then how it sort of led you over all of these years to where you are today.
Yeah, wow. Okay, so where I was first introduced to kinesiology, I was at the age of 18. It was about 4 weeks before my 19th birthday. I was diagnosed with bladder cancer, which is very unusual cancer to have at that particular age. It's something that is often in older men that are over 50. So it was misdiagnosed to begin with by a couple of times by my GP. And mum was very adamant about, no, we need to really look into this. These symptoms are not normal. I was having my urine was the color of red cordial, so which is just not normal, to have so much blood in the urine. So I went down the track of the allopathic pathway, and I was under the care of a specialist who is absolutely, he was brilliant, and they operated and removed the cancer. And everything was going well, so I recovered really quickly, and then I was back into life and into my job and what I was doing at the time. And then um, about a year after my diagnosis, everything started to kind of fall apart in my life. I was 19, nearly 20. I had a relationship breakdown, and I was physically struggling. So I was finding by every Friday I was getting sore throats. I was exhausted. I was depressed. My skin was a mess. And so I seeked out a skin specialist. I went to a naturopath, and I was just trying different avenues to try and rectify what was going on, because I just knew that I was not um, coping at all. Can you hear me, Beck?
Yes,
Oh,
yes,
there
I
we
can
go.
hear you.
Sorry,
Yeah.
that went just a black screen there. Sorry.
Oh.
So yeah, you just disappeared. So I was like, oh, is that still happening? So then I then a girlfriend of mine said, why don't you try kinesiology? And I said, well, I don't really know what that is, and I don't really care what it is, but I'll give anything a go. So I went along and saw this amazing kinesiologist, Rowena, and I was having regular sessions every few weeks for a number of months, and my life transformed. So my skin started to clear up. I was starting to, feel joy back in my life and purpose, and letting go of this particular relationship I was in, and I fell in love with the modality. And I just thought, I was so fascinated in this particular modality. I just wanted to know more and more and more. And I remember my kinesiologist saying to me, well, why don't you learn more about it? So yeah, that was when I was very first introduced into kinesiology. I didn't get straight into it because I ended up leaving Victoria, and I moved up to the Whitsundays when I was 20. So I moved to the Whitsundays. I lived and worked out on the boats for 3 years. And then, very long story short, I went back to Victoria and I started to study kinesiology. And within a short period of time, I was registered and practicing. And, by 25, I was a qualified kinesiologist. And here we are today. So, and I literally jumped into my business and I just worked. I've had short periods of time off, which is when I had my children. So I've had my 2 kids. So I'd have time off then, and then I would ease back into the work where it might be just 1 client a week, and then I'd pick it up to 2 clients a week. And I recently had 7 months off as well, just in the transition from moving back up to the Whitsundays and just sort of finding my way. So it's been a part of my life longer than what it hasn't, and it's just become something that is innately a part of who I am, a part of my expression of my soul. It aligns me and balances me as being a practitioner and working with other people, and I love it. It's just one of my favorite things to be doing. So I feel really grateful that I'm doing the work that I love, and it's so satisfying and has amazing results. And and I'm still able to say that after being in clinic for over 23 years. So yeah, it feels good.
It really feels like it was just like part of your destiny, part of your dharma, your life's purpose.
Yes.
And what a beautiful, impactful way that you can be in this world and share with others. So that's just
Yeah.
so beautiful. So let's talk a
Yes.
little bit more about, I guess, what kinesiology is, number one, and then number
Yep.
two, how you can support your clients with this
Yep.
beautiful practice.
Yeah. Okay. So kinesiology means the study of movement. So kinetic or kinesi is movement, and ology is study of. So it's the study of movement. In the 1960s, it was founded by 2 chiropractors. So in America, so you've got George Goodhart, who was very clinical based. He went on to teach applied kinesiology to chiropractors. And then there was John T, who was also a chiropractor, but he went on to develop the model in which I am under. And that is something he taught worldwide, which became more of a natural therapy. So kinesiology is a modality in the natural therapy world. It is what we do as a kinesiologist is we use what we call biofeedback or muscle monitoring to work with the client to understand what's going on with their body and what that client's body needs to bring in balance and harmony and health and well-being. Within the model that I work with, which is the natural therapy, as I was saying, there's still the very clinical aspect. Over in America, it's a degree. Kinesiology is a degree where it's sports orientated. It's very connected to physiotherapy and those things. In Australia and in other parts of the world, it's very natural therapy based, where we start to integrate what we call the meridian system. So it's based in the Chinese medicine. So we start to look at the 5 elements, and we start to look at the meridian systems, and we incorporate muscles within the meridian system, but not just muscles, emotions, spiritual attitudes, certain things with nutrition and so on that start to connect into the meridians, the elements, the muscles, and we use biofeedback to find out what's going on within the client's body. So I may see in a week, for example, I might see 5 clients in 1 week that all have the same symptom. They might all come to me because they're struggling with anxiety in all different ways, and the way it's expressed for each person is different. But the guts of why they may have booked in with me could be because of anxiety. As a kinesiologist, what we do is we start to ask the body, what is going on? Why is your body expressing this imbalance through anxiety? And it could be, for one client, it could be biochemistry, it could be gut issues, it could be emotional. For another client, it could be something that's genetic. For another client, it could be something that is to do with, lots of circumstances and the nervous system being out of balance. For someone else, it might be something just completely spiritual. So even though they're the same, it's the same expression, it's the same symptoms, each person has a different story as to why they are in that particular state of anxiety. So therefore, their remedy is going to be different as well. So we then, as kinesiologists, we use biofeedback, muscle testing, to say to the client's body, how can I support you, or what do you need as your catalyst or your remedy to bring you out of this state of stress, which is anxiety? And again, the remedy for each of the 5 will all be different. For one particular client, it could be body movement and nutrition. For someone else, it could be bringing in more of a balanced diet. For someone else, it could be an attitude change. For someone else, it could be working with a particular acupuncture point with an essential oil. So for each person, their remedy is always different. So that's primarily how it works. And all kinesiologists are going to specialize in different areas. So some kinesiologists that I know, they really specialize in working with women in business. Other kinesiologists really specialize in structure, where they love working with aches and pains and someone's walk and their gait and movement. Other kinesiologists love working with nutrition and herbs and so all kinesiologists can specialize in different areas. So we can all have the same kind of training, but how we branch off and how we express the work through us is always different.
Wow. I find this particular modality so fascinating. It's just incredible, and it seems so thorough, and it seems so all-encompassing. I absolutely love it. I'm so excited to keep working with you personally over my journey as well. It's just incredible. You did touch on a few tools, I guess, for lack of a better term, that you use in client sessions. Do you reckon you could just expand on that a little bit, just in case someone has not had kinesiology, particularly in person, with that intimate connection? Could you share maybe some of the remedies or the tools, or just some examples?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. So, for example, I want to keep it really simple because I love keeping things really simple, because I want everyone to, understand, which I'll go into simplicity of things in a minute. Say, for example, if we're working with the spleen meridian. So the spleen meridian, and say if a particular client comes up and we know that their spleen meridian is something that needs nourishment and harmonization and balance, what we can do is we can ask the body what remedies it wants. So it may, for example, I work with nutrition. So it might be where I've got all these different vials. I've got probably, I don't know, around, 150 of them. Do you know what's happening while I'm talking to you on the phone? Sorry, I'm getting distracted. There is the most beautiful Ulysses butterflies
oh my
that
goodness.
are just fluttering around out in the just, you know, a couple of meters away. So they're distracting me with their
That's
beautiful
such a
electric blue.
That's got to be a divine message of some
Yeah, I
sort.
know. I know. It wasn't just one, it was two of them flicking
Oh my
around. So that's
goodness.
why I'm just watching that. Um so and so I have about 150 different nutritional things that we can bring in. So what we do is we use muscle testing to say to the client's body, what do you need? And if nutrition comes up, we can then scan our vials of, you know, filled with protein, or one might have a particular herb in it, or vitamin B complex, or selenium or magnesium, and we use muscle testing to scan the vials, and the client's body will unlock when it gets to what that client needs, and we can add that onto the body, and then we do our muscle testing to see how it strengthens the particular body and the body systems. So supplements, nutrition is a really big part of how I work. Another big part of how I work as well is vibrational essences. So I have a couple of hundred different flower essences that I have access to, and different flower essences have signatures. So say, for example, if bottle brush comes up for a particular client, what that will mean is that that client is stuck in the negative of bottle brush, which is holding on to the past, maybe mother issues. And the positive of bottle brush is, you know, if we look at the flower, it looks like a brush. So it's actually about energetically and emotionally and spiritually cleaning out the past and being present and supporting the client with their relationship with their mother, or bringing some resolution to relationship issues with mother. So you know, I love working with flowers in that particular way, and vibrational essences in that way. And I also have some bee priestess essences that I work with, and some elemental essences that I created that I work with as well. So yeah, their vibrational essences are probably my favorite way of working. And harmonizing the client's energy or chi. But I also have lots of crystals and sound as well, which can be a really great way of supporting a client. And I also have essential oils. I love working with essential oils as well. And when we work with essential oils, it's just the smell. Sometimes it's just the smell is all that client is needing at the time, to help to bring in an ability to process or assimilate or shift their attitude about an area of their life that they're struggling. So, you know, there's some of the tools that that I work with and access to help harmonize and balance the client that I'm working with.
That's so, yeah, just incredible. And I can speak from personal experience. I've had quite a number of those tools in my sessions as well. And it's just, yeah, it's just fascinating to me. I love it. You touched on briefly on the elements, and that's where I want to go with you now, because I know that you love the elements.
Yeah.
You've got an elemental healing range. So I don't know where you want to start with that, if you want to talk about the range specifically, or you want to talk about elements in general and how we can, I guess, be in tune with them a little bit more in our lives.
So kinesiology is based in traditional Chinese medicine, and Chinese medicine is based in the elements. So we have fire, earth, metal, water, and wood, and other areas, you know, whether it's paganism or other health modalities, have elements as well that they're connected to, and none is better than the other. So some people are very connected to, you know, air, fire, earth, and I can't remember the other one. But within the kinesiology and the traditional Chinese medicine, we work with the five: fire, earth, metal, water, wood. It is said that internally and externally, we must have a balance of these elements within our body and within our external life. And every element has this incredible richness about it. So, for example, we're doing this recording, we're doing this podcast in the Southern Hemisphere in spring. So elementally, that relates to what we call the wood element. So the wood element is spring. It governs our liver and our gallbladder. One is yin, one is yang. So the element is broken up to yin and yang, which is masculine and feminine. And so, for example, the gallbladder is the yang, which is the masculine because it's hollow and it works when it has to. And then the yin, which is the feminine, which is the liver, which is solid and it works all the time. So it's broken up into these very specific ways. But the wood element, when we're in harmony with that within our lives, we are able to be in the springtime where we're able to have a healthy liver and gallbladder. That's important. That we are able to connect with the external seasons. So, what is spring about? Spring is about fresh ideas. It's the start of new growth. It's a time of massive growth, of reaching for the sunshine, of balance of daylight and of night as well. It's a very balanced time of the year. It's about plants. And, that's how it shows up in the world. Wood element shows up with all the plant life externally. So it's about us being in harmony with the external, which is spring, which is internal within us as well, so that we are able to feel as though we are in a fresh part of our lives. We can reach our goals with ease. We can enjoy the sunshine. We can have transformation and growth. Now, what I also want to say as well is that, yes, we're in the wood element and springtime of our life when it is happening externally, but sometimes within our life, like with a female when she's in her cycle, the springtime is that coming into fertility. It's coming into that stage. If we look at if we look at the other elements as well, so we've got the wood element, which is spring. We've got the fire element, which is summer. We've got the earth element, which is transitions. We've got the metal element, which is autumn. And we have the water element, which is winter. So winter is like we have it externally going on in our life. And then we have it going on where it could be within our cycle as well. So winter is our time of bleed, whereas summer is the time of ovulation. And so we can have the elements show up within our 28-day cycle. We can have the elements show up within the 12-month cycle as well. We witness and experience within our lives. We go into phases as well where we might be 2 years in the metal element, where we're about shedding and letting go. And, it's very symbolic of what's going on out in nature and being in harmony with that. I worked with a client recently who's just moved from the Northern Hemisphere to the Southern Hemisphere. And right now she's living in the Southern Hemisphere, which is spring and wood element, but her body and her energy body was stuck in autumn because she's still a part of her energetically was still living in the Northern Hemisphere. And her whole session was about, let's really ground you into the wood element and embrace where you are and embrace being in spring and embrace being on this country's earth, so that you can be in harmony with what's going on externally and as well internally. So the elements can be quite complex, but it's and they show up in our world. So wood element is plant life. Fire element is sunshine. And things like lighting a candle or cooking over the fire as well. Then we've got earth, which is earth, planet, our mother earth. Metal element is minerals and crystals of the earth, and then which is essential to life. And then water is water, which it's the ocean, it's the water that we drink, it's the lakes. And a really interesting thing about water actually is that the same water we're drinking right now is the same water that's been on the planet since its existence. We're a closed ecosystem. And yeah, I could go down that track a bit, but I'll pull myself back because it's quite fascinating. So it's about this harmonization within our own body and our own seasons of our cycle, the seasons of our lives, the seasons of our day, of where we are in different parts of our business. It's we could be in the spring phase within our personal life, but we could be in winter when it comes to business. So it's about living in harmony with seasons internally and externally. So and I found very early on in my career, I really would find that one element in a session with a client, one element would present itself. So, whether that come up through the emotional component, the spiritual, the muscle, the meridian, the attitudinal aspect. And so I would hone in on one element being mostly out of balance for a client when they would come for a session. And my work would be to support that client to find balance and harmony within that element within themselves. They could be stuck in wood element, which is anger, annoyance, triggered, livid, frustrated, and we need to move to the positive of that. So I just started this fascination, and then within probably about 20 years ago, I made the prototype of my own elemental healing range. And in the last 5 years, I think it is 5 or 6 years, I've made elemental ritual tools available for other people to buy, which consists of the essences where you can take internally and support your internal vibration to shift and change. I've also got the mists, which is an aura spray that you place over your energy field. And I also have some beautiful essential oil soy wax candles. So yeah, that's I hope that explains that well.
Yeah, that was amazing. And I can say that your products are incredible. I have all of them and I just absolutely love them. So yes, thank you for creating those. And I love your explanation of the elements. I'm such a big advocate of being as aligned as we can be with the seasons and the elements. And I love that you pointed out not only being connected to the external seasons, but also our internal seasons, because I think it can be such a unnecessary pressure that we can put on ourselves if we are in our inner winter, whatever that looks like for us, and we're seeing other people in their spring or their summer, and it's about honoring where we're at any given time,
absolutely,
for our highest good.
Yes. And our world has become very based in consumerism and hustle, and that we must show up in summer all the time, which is results, harvest, produce, out there. And we're just not like that. It's not cyclically how we are. We didn't farm like that 100 years ago. We farmed with what was going on seasonally and with the moon and the planets, whereas now everything's different. You can get what you want all the time. Everything's in summer. You can get strawberries nearly at any time of the year. You can get oranges. Oranges might be coming from America, but you can get what you need at all times. So it really is about that slower living, and it's about being present in our life and not wanting to be there, and that's where conflict happens, is where we're stuck in the past, or we're projecting into the future, or we want this thing, and the elements just bring you back to being present and moving through that. And that's what health and well-being is. It's being present with what is going on at that particular time.
And I feel like it just, like you said, it really does invite a deep sense of presence and intentionality and abundance in whatever season that is in, and just gratitude and appreciation. And I love that you touched on the seasonal eating or lack thereof that we have. That's just one example, but in terms of cultivating physical well-being, if we can sort of lean more into seasonal produce and even grow our own, if we have that opportunity, That's
Yes.
such a powerful tool that we can utilize as well, and just coming back to those natural rhythms and nature's
Yeah.
wisdom.
Yeah. It really is. And even if you can't grow your own, going to local farmers markets where people are putting their life aside to grow that produce, and then you can pay them for doing that.
Yes.
It's such a beautiful exchange. And
Yep.
the elements also have tastes. So they govern taste. For example, the water element governs salt. So if someone, one of my questions in my questionnaire for a client is, do you have any cravings? Because if a client is craving a lot of salt, it tells me as a kinesiologist that that client may be having an imbalance in their water element, because salt's really important. Salt is really important. So eating foods that are salty, which could be eating wakame, different kelps, that's eating, your tofu. It could be pork. It could be, different, and adding salt into the diet. Sometimes, another flavor, for example, is for earth element is sweet. If someone's craving a lot of sweet in their diet, it's they're trying to harmonize their earth element. So eat sweet things, but have it in a way where it's dates, or it could be sweet potato or pumpkin. So having foods that are sweet but are naturally sweet in that way. So yeah, and yeah, definitely things that are in season, and things that are grown in your neighborhood that don't have a really big footprint to get to you. So within that sort of 50 to 100K radius would be ideal, eating in that area. If you can eat from your own backyard, even better.
Yeah, and I feel like it's such an invitation to cultivate like a deeper sense of self-awareness as well around
Yes.
what your body's craving. And if you want to learn more about the elements, I encourage you to follow Beck's social media, which we'll link to. There'll be a wealth of knowledge on there as well, I'm sure. I want to ask you a bit of a personal question now about what your favorite, I guess, tools, practices, rituals, routines, habits, the way you like, what movement you incorporate in your life. Like, what are some of your favorite practices, your go-tos that you've found to be most supportive for you and to help you to be your highest self?
Really good question. I've got a few, and I like to come back to things being simple, because I think particularly when you're struggling, which we all do at different times, that if things are complicated, it's really hard to incorporate those things. So water to me is really important. Getting enough good quality, pure, filtered water. That's it. If you can get it remineralized and restructured, getting good quality water into my body. That is really, really important. Food is important as well, and plant loading. So, whether you're vegan, vegetarian, or you eat meat, I think it's really important that you eat a diversity of plants. So just making sure you're getting lots and lots and lots of plants in where you can. Meditation. Now this for me is really important. And I have a very specific way I meditate, which is where I connect my soul essence, my inner self, with Mother Earth, so the Earth star, and that yin, that feminine. And I also connect to what I call the soul star, which is the universe, the yang, the masculine energy. And I invite that energy into my body so that I become this conduit of yin and yang, of Father in heaven, Mother Earth, universe, but being very grounded. So I can do that particular meditation if I've got a really busy day and I don't really have time to sit down and do that for half an hour on a yoga mat. I do it in the shower. I do it in the shower where I'm mindlessly washing myself, and I will just close my eyes down and connect with my feet and the earth, and I connect also upward to the universe, and really, I can do that within a minute. So if I can do that as a minimum, great. If it's like today where I went for an hour walk and I'm able to connect to my senses, and I use that to really connect to what's going on around me and ground in and connect to the universe in that way. So I do it in sometimes very simple ways or a bit more of an extended way. So meditation, water, plant loading of food. I really love music as well. So music is always being played in my home, and it's music that I have lots of different playlists for different moods. Some I have my season, I have my elemental soundtracks. Like one might be the water element, which is sounds of the ocean and whales and things, or it might be wood element, which is of the rainforest. So I have different soundtracks and playlists that I listen to. And I really love essential oils. So and I'm not affiliated with any brands or anything like that. I source my essential oils from all different areas as long as they're pure. And so I do love working with essential oils in that way. And then body movement. So currently that for me is Pilates and it's walking. So those two things a way I move my body. So they're basic things, but they are what set me up to try and keep my physical body healthy, but also my mental health well, and my spirit, feeling connected to my spirit too. So those are the things that I try and do daily to create harmony, really.
So beautiful. And all of those things are on my list as well. I love that you added music, because I think that it can be underestimated, the healing power of music. That's so beautiful. And I love that you mentioned, they are simple things, but it's this is how we build our foundation though, isn't it? It's not about trying to do some fad diet or whatever the current thing is for a short period of time. It's more about how can we build sturdy foundations to cultivate a lifestyle, to cultivate true, authentic, deep wellness from within. So I really loved that you shared that.
Yeah. And I think what we can get sold on, particularly on social media now, is that it's supposed to look a certain way. It's sold by these beautiful beings that are, watching the sunrise on a yoga mat for an hour. And not a lot of people can do that. That's why, I work with a lot of mums or busy entrepreneurs or people that are really unwell and struggling to get out of bed. So we want to make them into these tiny little micro moments that when they're put together, they pick you up, and it doesn't feel overwhelming to add these things in. That if we can just shift the way that we're doing these micro moments, they do become quite layered. And as you're saying, that beautiful foundation that we can stand on and operate from.
Yeah. And I love that you pointed out taking little opportunities wherever they arise throughout the day, because it's like you said, if you think you need to every single day walk for an hour, meditate for an hour, cook a 3-course meal, like all the things, that I think that's where people can get tripped up. And sometimes some days you can, some people do have that luxury of time, but it's about I guess finding pockets of stillness or pockets of opportunity throughout your day that is attainable for you, so it doesn't feel stressful. It's not another thing to tick off your list. It's not another pressure to put on yourself. So I really love that you pointed that out.
And have a little drink of my water while we're saying that.
Go for it. I want to ask you, what is the one thing that after you've seen so many clients over your 23 plus years of experience, plus your own personal experience and your experience with your family and friends. And with that being said, what is the one thing that you wish people knew about how to live a well, happy life, and how to there can be more than one if you can't narrow it down, and like how we can all, because we all have our highest potential, our highest self that we can step into. So what would one, or if there's a couple of things, what would your advice be to support someone with that?
I think the answer to that today would be, and I often think of what the advice I would give to my friends or family or clients is often what I give to myself as well. It just goes back to keeping things kind of simple, you know, strip things back and keep them simple. Life is generally for people very full, very busy, very overwhelming. So try and strip things back to be simple. So you know, if you can do one thing for your week or for your day that's going to, you know, just make a couple of little changes. It might be concentrate on drinking 2 liters of clean water for the day. That's all you have to concentrate on. Or it could be that conscious breathing, that, you know, relaxing your shoulders and taking a couple of deep breaths every time you think of that. So I hope I'm answering that in the way that you're asking that question, and that comes across as you know, I think we underestimate how powerful simple is. So, you know, I know when I'm thinking one of my girlfriends at the moment, she's got a lot going on. And so for her, I just say, well, how can we break this down to just be really, really, really simple? What's something you can do that's, because there's so much seriousness and heaviness that's going on. What's one thing you can do that is just for yourself? And it could be just making sure that she has breakfast, or making sure that you have good clean water. I always come back to water. Water is really important. Or you know, having a diversity of plants, or eating. I meet so many clients of mine that don't eat. You know, they're like, I skip that meal, or, you know, I'm just eating the leftovers from the kids' plates, and then I'll have a nice big meal at dinner time. And, you know, then they're wondering why they can't lose weight. Well, you know, it's because they're gorging at nighttime, and they're eating when they're supposed to be. They're not eating properly during the day and not putting themselves as a priority. So it's just try and add simple, small, micro things in, just one thing to start with, and then you can start to layer that in. So does that kind of answer that?
I'm such a big advocate for the power of simplicity. I've got a whole episode on that too, if anyone wants to go back and listen to it. But and what I was thinking as well when you were saying that is what we touched on earlier, is this fact that we're always in summer, we're always overly connected, we're always like the fast pace of where our world is heading right now. I think that coming back to, if we can, not that it's not to totally disregard all of those advances in technology and those kinds of things. It's more about just being aware of and harnessing the power of simplicity, maybe taking it back a few notches. And I think sometimes that means that we need to put boundaries in place, or we need to put ourselves a little higher back up on the priority list. And I guess just cultivating that sense of self-awareness again, because we're the only one who can do these things at the end of the day for ourselves.
That's right. And I think just by making one small choice to make that change, you're going from being the passenger of your life back into the driver's seat. Even if it's just in one tiny little aspect where you go, right, I'm going to have breakfast, or right, I'm going to get up a bit earlier than everyone else and go for a walk, or have my coffee in peace, or, you know, have a gratitude practice, or whatever it is. If we just do that one tiny thing, it can then, we can add, we can stack, and we can add to that.
Beautiful. Beck, this has been incredible. I could just keep going. Maybe we'll have to do part 2 of our podcast, share more of your wisdom. But just to wrap up, I'd love for you to share a little bit more about your work, your offerings, your product range, how people can connect with you, and how they can get a little piece of your wisdom and your magic.
Okay. So I work with clients one-on-one, and people can come to my home here in the Whitsundays and have a session with me. Or people anywhere in the world can do a distance session with me as well. And all of that is explained over on my website. Next year, I will also be running a mentorship program, which is a 7-month program where people are committed, and we work elementally for 7 months together. And so anything that is going on in my professional world or how you can work with me, you can see over on my website, which is www.rebecca-richards.com.au. And my offerings are all there. You can see a little bit more about me. It's also the place where my shop exists as well, where you can purchase any of the elemental healing range as well. I'm also on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube.
Beautiful. Thank you. And
Thank
just
you.
before we close out, any final thoughts, anything that you'd like to share that we didn't touch on?
No, I don't think so. I think we've covered all the things that I wanted to share today, and I think you've done an amazing job at really teasing that information out. So thank you. I really enjoyed chatting today.
Thank you, Beck. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you.